Why do suit sleeves have buttons? The shocking truth and Napoleon's secret. All right, spill the tea. Have you ever looked at those tiny, often useless buttons on your suit sleeves and thought, what in the world are you doing there? They're like that one friend who shows up to every party but never actually does anything. Well, buckle up, buttercups, because today on FactSpark, we're diving headfirst into the surprisingly wild, sometimes gross, and totally bizarre history of those little sartorial mysteries. So, you probably thought, oh, they're just for rolling up sleeves, right? And ding, 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 you're actually on the right track for part of the story. Back in the day, when jackets were basically wearable blankets, these buttons were super handy. Guys could roll up their sleeves for a quick sword fight, or, just to chop some wood without getting all tangled up. Practical, right? But here's where it gets weird. For thousands of years, like 5,000 years back to the Indus Valley, ancient fashionistas apparently, buttons were just fancy, purely decorative. Think of them as the original bling, a way to show off your status. It wasn't until the 13th century in Europe that some genius finally went, hey, what if we put a hole here and actually fasten stuff? Mind blown. So these little guys went from ancient jewelry to practical tools and then back to mostly decorative. Fashion, am I right? All right, let's talk about the juiciest, most whispered about button rumor, Napoleon Bonaparte. Legend has it, the little general got so fed up with his soldiers using their fancy uniform sleeves as tissues, that he ordered buttons sewn on to stop the snot wiping. Gross, right? And totally unforgettable. Now, as much as we love a good gross-out history fact, historians are a bit like, maybe not exactly Napoleon. It seems the idea of military discipline influencing sleeve buttons might have actually started with some Prussian king who was equally disgusted about dirty sleeves. So, the idea is true, even if Napoleon's role is a bit of a historical fanfiction. But wait, there's more. There's another Napoleon button story, and this one is 100% scientifically verifiable and way more dramatic. Picture this, Napoleon's disastrous Russian campaign in 1812. Freezing cold. His army's uniforms are held together by tin buttons. Sounds fine, right? Wrong. Turns out, tin, when it gets below about 13 degrees Celsius or 56 degrees Fahrenheit, for our Fahrenheit friends, has a little existential crisis. It transforms from strong metallic beta tin into brittle, powdery alpha tin. Yep, their buttons literally crumble to dust in the freezing cold. Imagine trying to fight a war when your coat just falls open. This tin pest was a huge, albeit not the only reason for the French army's epic collapse. Talk about a wardrobe malfunction that changed history. So beyond the snot wiping and the crumbling tin, these sleeve buttons had a seriously glamorous glow-up. In the 17th century, they were still practical, helping guys adjust their big, bulky overcoats for warmth, or, to swing an axe. But by the 1660s, with the rise of the snazzier frock coats, those buttons started migrating to the cuffs. And then, bam, the 18th century hit, and it was the golden age of buttons. Seriously, buttons were everywhere. Front, sleeves, pockets, even the back. And they weren't just any buttons. We're talking luxurious, jeweled masterpieces that could make up a whopping 80% of a suit's total cost. Forget the suit, just buy the buttons. This was pure status symbol. Oh, you think your jacket is nice? Mine has diamonds on the sleeves. Military uniforms also jumped on the button bandwagon, standardizing designs and naturally influencing civilian fashion. Fast forward to the Victorian and Edwardian eras, and ready-to-wear suits often sported just 2 buttons, a conservative look. But here's a fun twist. If you wanted functional buttons, you usually had to get a custom-made country suit. Why? Because if you were out hunting or touring your vast estate, you might actually need to roll up your sleeves for some semi-arduous tasks. So, fancy city suits got the decorative bling, while country gentlemen kept it real with practical, roll-up-your-sleeves action. Priorities, right? So here we are in the glorious present, and those sleeve buttons are still hanging around, mostly just looking pretty. On your average off-the-rack suit, They're basically fashion fakes, sewn on, never meant to be unbuttoned. But here's a little secret for you. If you see a suit with working buttonholes on the sleeves where you can actually unfasten them, that's the secret handshake of a high-quality, custom-made suit. It's like a little wink to say, yeah, I'm fancy, and my tailor is a wizard. The number of buttons also spills some tea about formality. 2 buttons? Super rare, very modern, very I'm a fashion icon. 3 buttons? Sporty, versatile, perfect for your blazer. 4 buttons? That's the formal, high-end, I mean business look. Some even leave the last one unbuttoned for that extra I know what I'm doing vibe. And then there are the kissing buttons. Aww, they're touching. Waterfall buttons, so dramatic. And even angled buttonholes with contrasting colors for a subtle pop. It's wild how we cling to these historical quirks, even when they've lost their original purpose. It's like that sometimes, always, never rule for buttoning your suit jacket front. That came about because King Edward VII got a bit chunky and couldn't button his bottom button anymore. Tailors just rolled with it. So these sleeve buttons, they're tiny little time capsules, subtly screaming quality and style, even if they're just there for the show. So the next time you're rocking a suit, take a moment to appreciate those little buttons on your sleeve. They're not just some random fashion choice, they've been on a wild historical roller coaster. From being ancient bling for showing off, to helping guys roll up their sleeves for a medieval brawl, to literally crumbling off soldiers' coats in a freezing Russian winter, and then becoming super expensive status symbols, before finally settling into their modern role as mostly decorative but still very stylish, little nods to tradition. It's a story that's layered, a little contradictory, and totally fascinating. These tiny buttons are a perfect reminder that history isn't just about big wars and famous kings. It's also hidden in the weird, wonderful, and sometimes gross details of the everyday objects all around us. Who knew such a small detail could hold so much epic history? Mind blown. All right, fellow history detectives, what other everyday mysteries are bugging you? Seriously, what mundane object has you scratching your head? Spill the beans in the comments below. Your weird question might just be our next deep dive. If you had a blast unbuttoning this mystery with us, smash that like button, share this video with a friend who loves a good surprising fact, or a gross one. And definitely hit subscribe to FactSpark for more mind-bending origins of the world around you. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll catch you on the next historical adventure.